All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We are catching up with RyGo, who is currently located in southern Florida. Where are you at right now, buddy?
I'm in St. Petersburg right now, but actually just getting the rig ready, and we're going to be heading to the Keys probably later today.
Awesome. Well, on this quick segment today, I was wanting to catch up with you, talk about your new gig with Airush, talk about what you guys have been doing, you and Kristin, in the off season down in Florida, and then let's talk about your new YouTube channel, and then any other shout outs that you want to give along the way. So how are things going with Airush? I'm stoked to hear what you guys have been up to.
Oh, dude, it's killer, man. Honestly, best gig ever. You're on the beach every day. You're running demos. You get to bro down with people, right? So it's like,
yes,
it's almost like being a professional friend. Like, you're just on the beach every day, riding the gear, and you just get to, funny enough, because you're series here, you get to share the stoke, right?
Yes, amen. That is awesome.
That wasn't intentional, but I'm looking at the screen, share the stoke. I'm like, crap, I can't say that. I have to say it. Yeah.
You guys. Oh, dude, and you're so good at doing that, man. And what are some of the things that you've liked as you grow into this new role? What are some challenges? What are some things that you're enjoying? Some things that may be challenging? Some things that you look forward to growing into as you progress with this? Oh, and what is your official title? We should have started there.
I mean, a couple titles. I'm a team rider, but I'm also actually the Southeast sales rep.
Yes, cool.
Yeah, so it's my territory there.
Yes. So that's a little bit of a new role. I mean, obviously you are super familiar with the retail side of things, but now you get it from the rep side. And it's probably, I would imagine, pretty beneficial to have experience in both of those worlds now.
They definitely blend together for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think the biggest challenge, honestly, is just going from, I mean, as you know, media was my main gig for the last few years. So going from like a quota-based where you're always running and gunning and trying to film things and get the shot and do this, it's funny because, I was going so hard with that and stepping into this, which you're still busy and you're still running.
Sure.
But while it has its challenges, it's almost, I guess, I don't want to say the word easier, but it's less stressful. In that sense, where I'm like, I need to get 3 videos up this week. I need to get 5 videos up this week.
Right.
So it's different. It's a different animal, but at the same time, it's also maybe skills I'm not as practicing. So I'm just, learning new things as I go and trying to get better. And running demos, they can be tiring as well, but they're also fun, right?
Yes, they are tiring. It's so funny. People think about, it's a demo. You just got to show up and bring the gear and get things set up, but it's a bit more intense than that, and you got a lot of wrangling going on, and make sure that you've got plenty of gear for everybody. And of course, if the wind doesn't show, everybody's kind of, not bummed about it, but I mean, it's the best is when the conditions are awesome. You got all the gear and the sun's out and it's ripping. I mean, ideal situation there. That's the bomb.
So one thing I have learned after years of being in kiting is if you're going to run a demo, just wait for the good wind. There's no point in trying to do it because nobody's hype when you're slogging on a 17. We got a truck coming here. Let this go by for your audio.
Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, it's hard to manufacture the stoke when conditions are, at King of the Great Lakes here last September. Everybody was still amped up, but it was cold. We had some rain. Well, I got a comment too. You got rid of the beard. Dude, you look like you dropped like 10, 12 years, man. It's pretty trippy.
It's funny because, I was like thinking like, I'm going to grow this beard. I'm going to look like a Viking. It's going to be badass.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Kristin's like, you were going to shave that beard? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This beard looks so good. And I look back at photos and I'm like, maybe she was on to something. I do kind of look like a homeless guy.
It goes in phases, though, because clearly I'm in that channel. And
yeah, you got the long hair, the beard.
Dude, I'll usually let it go for a little bit, and then all of a sudden one day I'm sitting there brushing my teeth going, bro, what are you doing? It's like, I think it's not like good or bad. It just all of a sudden you have this realization that like, wow, there's this whole vibe that is going on here. Is that what you intended? Or is that an accident? But dude, what products, what gear are you most stoked about with Airush? Like personally, not on a standpoint of as the rep, but like what are you riding? What kites, what boards, what wings, foils, all of it. What are you all into right now?
I mean, as you know, I have a very unique taste in gear. Personally, I run the razors, but there's a time and a place for them, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm like somewhere with good flat water and the right conditions for freestyle, I'm going to use the freestyle kite. And that's actually one thing that drew me to Airush is they're going to make like the good all-around kite. They're going to make the kite good for everybody, but they're also not
flagship.
They're like, well, hey, here's a wave kite. That's a wave kite. Here's a freestyle kite. That's a freestyle kite. And I've actually been drawn to the brand. I've been using their gear for 2 years back when I was doing review videos. I didn't talk about it much, but I was using it in my personal quiver and really excited about it. But you're going to laugh. I'm actually finding that I'm using the lithium a lot more than I anticipated.
Cool.
And one of the reasons is with the conditions I'm facing is a lot of the beaches here, they're amazing, but sometimes there's a strong current that kind of runs through the area that
sure.
So like you'll have maybe like 20 knots, but the current might be like 2 to 5 knots, right? So it'll wind out.
Need a little more power.
I'm gravitating towards the kite with grunt, and I mean, obviously, like a 3-strut all-around kite has its place.
Yep.
So it's
and relaunch, I'm guessing.
Cool. What's that?
I was going to say, and the relaunch, not only a little bit more range, but
funny enough, with a kind of a funny point talking about on a video with you here, since somebody talks about it, but with a fifth line on the razor, that's actually never a problem.
Yes.
That would be the kite that I would be most confident in launching. But yeah, with the all-around, I mean, it's relaunch well now, right?
People laugh at me because I run a fifth line on my dice, but it's for that same reason. The big, like the 13 in the spring when the wind's up high, riding in the pool there, and you got flat water. But if you drop it, you're kind of hosed. And so the fifth line is amazing to flip it and go.
It's kind of a nice.
It's not
trick.
even. Yeah, there's like no contest. That's hard to compete with.
I was launching in a wind shadow actually last year, and there's like these mangroves on the east side of the state at the 520 slick.
Yeah.
And I mean, pretty much nobody can launch like when you're directly in the shadow. And I walk out, I drift launch my kite, flip it onto its back, I roll it up, it just launches in the sky, and this guy looks over and he's like, what did you just do? How did you do that? I'm like, oh, it's a fifth line relaunch. And he's like, what's a fifth line relaunch? I'm like, oh, cool. Have you ever seen one of those before?
Yes.
Totally blown away that was a thing. It's kind of forgotten now. Like, not many kites have that.
For sure. No, it completely has gone by the wayside. Yeah, it's not even a thought anymore. Yeah. But if you do, like you say, in that situation or any kind of a shadow or light wind on the water, oh man, to be able to relaunch, I think, and to piggyback on that, I'm sure that gives so much confidence to try new tricks. I think I've definitely been guilty of keeping things between the lines a little bit when the wind is questionable because I don't want to have to fight with a long relaunch or being drifted down current and stuff like that. So with the fifth line, it's definitely
it's a nice little
an afterthought.
You don't always need it. Like I think wind shadows and when the wind's up high, it's like those are probably the two scenarios I can think of where like they're like, oh my god, a lifesaver. But otherwise, it's not really something I think about on any gear that I've used in a long time. I can't even think of a kite that, back when I was testing with you guys, I can't even think of a kite where it was like, oh, this has a bad relaunch. Maybe 2015 was the last time we had a kite where like,
sure. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. It's all relative to what you're used to doing, and I think. But you're right. Fifth line for that light wind relaunch or wind shadow or any areas like that where the relaunch might be challenging. Yeah, it's hands down. It's so easy. Oh, it's the cheat code.
The cheat code, exactly. Kind of a long cheat code, but it's just they're like contra, up, down, left, right, select, start. For all the actors out there.
You're Tony Hawking, aren't you?
Yeah, Tony Hawk for Arjan. Yeah.
We are endless grind right now.
But yeah, with gear, Dude. I've been using the lithium a lot, and then as well, you're gonna laugh, I've been doing a lot more winging than you would expect.
Yes, right.
Interesting, we've had a lot of north. I don't think we're supposed to have them. We've had a lot of northeast here.
Yeah.
And with the wind blows and the thermals on the city, it actually gets pretty gusty. So when things are rough like that, I've been kind of like, all right, when it's rough wind, I'm going to wing, I'm not going to kite. And I've been getting out on my free wing go, which is funny because I'm stacked with some nitros as well, which are like a super sick wing. But being kind of a more entry-level winger myself, where I'm still running through the paces, my free wing go, so it's got this really big chunky leading edge, so it's more like park and pull power. Tucked in wingtips, so I crack out like the bigger wings, and it's got the Y handle. So for me, it's like nice to have. Gap. And as my brain's ticking, and I'm like learning about winging and going through the ropes and figuring things out. I've been doing that a lot, and I just got down to the 1000 high aspect plasma foil, which I'm pretty hype about.
Dude,
I've been running like
nice.
1700 to a 1300 and feeling pretty good on the 1000 now.
Yeah, like is that a quiver wing, or is that something that you're starting to ride like more frequently all the time?
That's like my go-to now. I'm actually getting ready to just kind of get rid of a bunch of my wings and probably just keep the 1000. High aspect and medium aspect to play around with.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. So you've kind of, are you between kite and wing now? Are you going about 50-50, or are you wing heavy?
Condition based, 100%.
Yeah.
So if it's perfect freestyle,
I'll
ride freestyle. If it's big air, I'll do big air. If it's gusty, I'm gonna wing. Ideally, I'd like to get into the waves with the wing. That's like the really big draws to get out. And boulders.
Yes, that seems to be. I'm below you by far right now in wing fluency, and that's what draws me. When you watch somebody just flagging it out on a little waist-high peeler, endlessly just going down the line and just kind of just grooving along. I'm like, ooh, that definitely speaks to me as well, man. I'm stoked you've gotten into it and have gotten this far down that road. That is super cool.
I didn't see that one coming. It's actually funny how resistant I was to wings until I was kind of like, all right, I better learn this. Like, this isn't going away. I better start doing this. And then you start realizing you're having fun with it.
Yeah.
It's the perfect complement to kiteboarding, because sometimes I'll go out and you'll run hard and your body's really worked. And then you get a good wing day and you're like, oh, I'm using a new set of muscles. This feels good. I'm learning new things. And I think the biggest plateau being a kiteboarder crossing over is you go from being good at something to being awful at something. And it's a double-edged sword, because at first you're hitting your face with the wing and you're falling and you're just like, why is this? What is going on? Mm-hmm. But then you cross that, that point where all of a sudden you start progressing quickly, and then it's like, oh, wait, being a beginner is actually really fun. Like, I'm learning stuff really fast. Like, this is great. And it's funny,
and dude.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, the humble pie. It's hard, you already, oh, dude. But that's hard.
What I really love about it is I have no expectations. Like, when I go kiting, I admit sometimes I still get a little angry when I'm kiting, because I have high ambitions for what I'd like to do. When I go winging, I'll be out and I'll be with wingers, and they'll be like, oh, man, kind of rough today. Conditions are kind of gusty. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? This is great. Like,
right.
Expectations here. So it's fun, the mind shifts that you go through as you're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And when we were, working retail, and when wing first hit the market, I couldn't wrap my head around that either. We'd been kite foiling for a long time, so hydrofoiling wasn't anything complex. But yeah, the wing, I don't know. I got to call myself out and throw myself under the bus, because I looked at that and I was like, nope, no way. That is goofy. I don't want anything to do with that. And here we are, just a few short seasons later, and looking at it entirely differently, and seeing the value. And you're right. I when you answered the question about what do you like doing the most, and it's like, hey man, it's condition based. And in a lot of cases, you don't necessarily want to do one. I guess there are conditions that, it's fine for both, but you talk to a lot of people and they have their wind range where they're like, yep, I like to wing in this wind range, and then I'll kite in anything below that. It seems like on the wing side, people are definitely appreciating more wind than not. and it still feels like kiteboarding, kite foiling especially might have the advantage in the real light wind conditions, but then I'm seeing people on the higher end of the wind range, and especially in gusty conditions, who are appreciating a wing and its ability to flag out much more effectively.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a time when I go out and land all of my kiteboarding tricks, and tricks that you should be able to do here a little more difficult, and those are the days that I enjoy winging most, because there's just I don't care if I do bad or not, right? Like, that's gonna fall above. That's part of the fun at the moment. Not that it's not fun falling kiteboarding, but I paid my dues. I don't want to pay my dues again.
Right. You're like, didn't I already pay these dues?
There's just no need to go through that kind of pain, right?
Yes. That's hard, man. Our egos are fragile. It's like, yeah. And time is valuable, and I feel like, on the wing side, the first few times I would go winging as a beginner. Well, I'm still a beginner. I can ride effectively, but I would look at it like each time I go to wing, I'm burning a kite session. I'm sacrificing an otherwise good kite session to go flounder and be a newbie again at something, and that's hard. That is not an easy pill to swallow.
I'll tell you what, though, if you're basing it on, that it was going to be a rough kite session regardless, there's this pressure, right? Like, I can tell you right now, I have never skipped a good kite session to wing, which is partially why it took me so long to get to where I am. But once you kind of cross that line, things start moving faster. I'm working on tutorials now, and it's fun because, and I did guys with kind of sharing that, but still continue as you learn something, figure out a new tip on the beach and a new beginner tip. It's kind of fun to be put in that beginner role and then think about, how can I make a good tutorial from this perspective, from this point of view, and you're not getting lost in I'm 7 years in, 10 years in, and I've forgotten what it's like to be on that level or do this. Yeah,
right. Well, dude, to segue into that, tell us about your new YouTube channel. What's the name? Where can we find it? What kind of content are you covering?
So I'm actually so it's funny. I've been using RyGo as a name for the longest time when I was doing videos with you guys, and I've brought my full name back in. So now I'm doing Ryan RyGo Goloversic. Good luck still now, but
we'll be sure to include that link in the description here and send people over your way there.
But I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's nice because I'm only doing a video a week. I thought I was going to do 2 a week, but just for the sake of time in the end, like what I want to put into them, I'm finding one a bit more sustainable with traveling, still touring in the RV, and now I'm running demos, and I'm trying to focus on as well just riding a bit more and trying to progress rather than just create content. So
right.
But still tutorial based. I'm not really doing reviews anymore, as I am kind of brand specific now. It just seems like a moot point, right?
I bet you could still do. Well, obviously review because it's your take. You've got the brand speak, but then I feel like you have an authentic take as a person who's just a wing foil enthusiast, somebody who's just another genuine person on the beach that you can talk to and say, hey, from the brand side of things, here's what our marketing material says, but then you can also take it from the real world perspective and say, hey, look, I just went out on this wing and I experienced X, Y, and Z, and I really appreciated some of these aspects about it, but quite honestly, I wish that in future versions we maybe modify a couple of things here and make some tweaks and revisions. But I think there's definitely a place for that because you have an authentic voice and tons of experience, and you had a good following here, on the MACkiteboarding channel. And so there's definitely people out there that are like, hey, where's RyGo? What's he doing? And so I'm glad that you're continuing that, because there's definitely that base that is wondering, hey man, where you at? What have you been up to? What are you doing? And so
definitely never been.
But I think you're
definitely never been.
Oh, go ahead.
Speak my mind with the product as well. So that's always one thing.
Yeah.
I put myself on is like, here's my honest take. Here's what's good. Here's what's not. So
yeah.
I definitely trying to bring some of those elements into it. But, as well, being affiliated with a brand, it almost, the idea of being like, well, I'm going to do a review on this, and I'm still toying with that idea, but for now, tutorials, those are also just kind of more fun for me right now. Like, here's this tip for learning. But yeah, as products come out, I'll definitely talk about them a bit more. But I think the challenge will be coming from, well, hey, I have this affiliation. Here's my opinion, and keeping it genuine and honest. And that's one thing that I always strive for when I was doing YouTube videos, is like, here's my real take. I'm not afraid to offend anybody. That's never gone away, but it's definitely in a different position when you do have an affiliation.
Yep, for sure. And that's a tricky, that's probably a tricky line to walk, because you're on one side, you have an allegiance to Airush, and then on the other side, you have an allegiance to a customer base or a follower, a viewer base who really wants to get information that is straight, and not and something that doesn't have too much of a brand overture to it. It's you know what I'm trying to say here. We just want the straight scoop, the unbranded, real talk about any piece of gear, or experience that you're having. And I think that you have always been somebody who can effectively do that, So I feel like I think that while you do have to cover some points, you can also come at it very real and from that rider's perspective. I
think the key too is, like, when you're breaking down equipment, is every gear is always aimed at, like, whether it's a discipline or a rider or a blend of a discipline, blend of riders. You can always, honestly, anybody can look at it, right, even without trying it, right? Look at the shape.
Yeah.
Look at what they're marketing it towards. And if you know how to read between the lines, a lot of times, you kind of get a good idea of what equipment's, like, strength and weakness might be, and you go out and try them, and it's totally fair to be tight. It might be a bit more beginner oriented, giving up. And I think I did just do a wing video where I was comparing wings, and I was walking out like, well, here's what you can expect from this, here's what you can expect from this. For this being beginner oriented, here's a cue for this. You can expect this to maybe be lacking in some high end, like little things like that, right? So there's fun little nuggets of knowledge that you pick up through the years of reviewing gear that are easy to share. And some people are afraid. It's funny because some people in the industry are afraid to, I guess, pigeonhole gear, because, like, and then the mob runs with it, and then they get this idea in their head. And there's definitely a way to articulate things that make sense and is honest, where you're not BSing people, but then isn't pigeonholing equipment as well, because you have to be careful with that mob mentality.
Yeah. Well, and on the gear recommendation side of things, on the retail side especially, when people are looking for a particular kite or a wing to fill a specific need, I was always, as gear got better and better and better and more brands entered the market and we carried more brands, it was hard to really say, well, hey, this is, somebody'd say, hey, what's the best kite for this condition? I'm like, well, there's so many good ones. And I quite honestly believe that. And I mean that every time I do say that to somebody. I could go back into the warehouse and just get the right size kite or wing for the day, for the conditions, and I'll have fun. And do I have my personal preferences and specifics that I like? Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, things have come so far in design that I honestly feel, and it's a vanilla statement to make, but dude, there's a lot of good stuff. They're all good. You know what I mean? You're going to have your personal preferences in there, but that becomes challenging because people don't want to hear that. They want to, when somebody says, hey, what's the best kite for X, Y, and Z? They want you to give them. I usually have to rephrase it and say, hey, listen, you can ask me what my favorite is, and I'll tell you that. But beyond that, I will not make a statement like that says this is the best. This is what you need.
Every kite has its flavor. Every rider's got their preferences, whether they're going to like that flavor or not. And I think every designer has their own approach to gear as well. And like what I found,
big time,
testing kite after kite after kite, is I feel like in the last few years, like a lot of things started like blending together, if you will. Like there's a lot of carryover, like especially with certain categories of kites, where it's like, oh, there's not like a whole lot of talking points anymore to cover here. Like, I mean, he's serial launch. It's going to have a big whip range. Oh, every kite like
right
now. Interesting, that is one thing that, again, like really drew me to where I am now as well. Is one thing that I think, when chatting with the crew and like the designers, is that they what did they say? They said something like, "We're going to make the gear that we have to make for everybody, that's going to do well, but we're going to make the gear that we want to ride as well." And it's like, man, that resonates so strong with me. Like,
yes,
like right now, I think we have 5 bars, right? We have our standard bars that everybody's going to be using, but then there's a couple of bars that are literally team specific, and those handful of riders are going to want that, like the ultra bar for the foilers or the team bar for the more advanced riders. It's cool that they're not afraid to make those products that are going to really stand out for a rider like yourself or me or anybody who's kind of more intermediate and might want something breaking away from the mold that's a little more special. It's nice to are not afraid to make those products in spite of the fact that it won't appeal to the masses and all the new riders.
The masses, yep, and that's hard because it's a gamble. But then I feel like Airush is one of those brands that, hey, you guys know what you're good at, and you know what you like personally, and you have good product that does cater to those masses, but at the same time, you have those kites that you personally are super stoked out.
I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. It does everything reasonably well. It unhooks well. The fit. I mean, we don't need to go into the whole all-around kite thing.
Yeah.
You know what those guys like.
I do. I want to talk about that in a future video, but yes, I feel like I agree, man, and I'm glad that you've found a good spot to call home, and just know that we certainly do miss you up here, and the stoke. Is the vibe that you bring. It is still ringing through. I can see it, and I'm stoked that you and Kristin are down south traveling around in Florida for the winter. Can't wait to catch up with you. We should actually we should rally some of the crew and head down your way over the winter sometime.
Come down, so maybe we can get him on some gear, and maybe in the future do a little bro down about some gear and do a real review, give you the real skinny and everything. We should touch base
I love it.
when the Lift V3 comes out. So a lot of talk about it. I don't have one in my hands yet, but that's supposed to be like the pinnacle of the gear. So I'd love to bro about that. Get the boys, get them out trying.
I have been known to bro down. I don't know if you know this. I'm there.
You for a long time, buddy.
Well, dude, what other are there any shout outs that you'd like to give before we wrap? Anything at all? I mean, you know our viewer base. They know you, and so definitely use that as a platform.
Oh, man, I don't know. I guess if you guys are vibing with the content I was putting out, just subscribe to the link down there. I'd love to get that channel going and keep talking to everybody. And I'm still receptive to requests, and that's always been a big thing is what do the viewers want to see. So I'd love to get that going.
Yeah.
Tap back in, because I think a lot of people probably have no idea what happened to me.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And that was, I was, look, there's a question mark. What's happening? And so let's check in with RyGo here and find out what's going on and see where you guys are at. And so definitely, we are all about helping you to grow your channel and get that content going. There's a lot of people out there that are probably missing your smiling mug, dude. That's awesome.
Orioles are still running.
Yes. Amen, dude. Amen. Well, brother, I'll cut this off and we can hang on the line here for a little bit. But guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for checking in with us and RyGo here in Southern Florida, sending the stoke from the Sunshine State. We are always glad to hear from you, brother.
Back at you, bud.
All right, man. Until next time.